Hi everyone, it's Bev DeBono, and I want to share with you this fun idea called a sunburst. And we are just going to be using our trimmer and a very busy piece of paper that has a good contrast on the other side. So tonight I will be using this particular one from the Golden Harvest because the other side has a sharp contrasting paper, because we are going to be cutting it and putting two sides opposite each other. So we could do, the Sunburst is very flexible and it depends on the paper that you use. And this design can be spread into a double page spread like this, or you can use it as two border pieces such as that. But it's a really cool and easy design. So it's one that I wanted to share with you, and hopefully we can have a lot of fun with it. Now we're going to need our 13 by 13 mat because when we cut our pieces, we will be laying them on the mat so not to get them confused. You're going to need a base paper because we are going to be arranging all of our cut pieces onto the page. You're going to need a designer sheet that has a sharp contrast on the other side. And then you're going to need some coordinating mats, or if you want to use any type of borders or anything like that, we can add those later. Okay, so we're going to need a pencil and we're going to get started. Let's take our designer paper, our busy pattern, and I have found that with this busy paper, it's really easy to get one that does not have a direction. I had a tougher time with this one because of the words on it, but you still can use it. Now we're going to take this paper and we're going to cut it in half right at the 6-inch mark. So we're going to cut it in half at the 6-inch mark. Okay, and now this is the fun part. This is the fun part. We're going to take the two busy papers and we're going to face them together. Okay, so we're one on top of the other, the two busy papers, and we're facing them together. Now let's put that on our mat. So we're really going to be using our cutting mat. We're going to put that on our mat, and with our pencil, we're going to make some marks along the way, and then we're going to use those marks to actually cut our paper. So our first mark is in the very middle at the 6-inch mark. And we're just going to put a little line at the 6-inch mark, just a very thin little line, just so that you could see it, so that we can cut with it. Okay, so line it up on the bottom of your mat. Now on the left side, we are going to mark it at the 2-inch mark, and also on the right side at the 2-inch mark. So 2 inches from the bottom, I'm just putting a mark at the 2 inches. And then on the right side, I'm putting a mark. It's really the 10-inch mark, but it's 2 inches from the bottom. Okay, and now these are the measurements for the bottom. We are going to be putting marks at the 2-inch, 4.5, 7.5, and 10. So from left to right, the 2-inch, 4.5, 7.5, and 10. Okay, so make sure it's lined up on the bottom. We're putting a mark at the 2-inch, 4.5, 7.5, and 10. Okay, and now here comes the fun part. We are going to put this paper together, make sure they're nice and straight and flat together. And the top piece, that middle 6-inch mark that you have, that is going to become our focal mark. And that's the one we're going to place on the cut line of your trimmer. So this does not have to go all the way to the top. Just put it about in the middle of your trimmer at the cut line. Okay, and then what I suggest you do is you take your finger, hold that 6-inch mark down, and slide your paper to the left. Okay, until you get to the 2-inch mark that you cut on the right-hand side. Okay, so this 2-inch mark that you cut on the right-hand side. So you've got the 6-inch mark and the 2-inch mark. Okay, now make sure that you've got your papers together, and we're just going to cut that through. That first piece gets put on your mat. So we're lining it up on our mat just as we're cutting it. Okay, put your finger back at the 6-inch mark and slide, slide, slide to the right until you get to that 10-inch mark at the bottom. And cut. And those two pieces go down here at the bottom on your mat. So you see we're reassembling the paper. This is the easiest way to do it, is to use your mat to do it. Otherwise, it's very confusing as to where all these pieces go. Put your finger back at the 6-inch mark. Slide, slide, slide to the right until you get to the 4.5-inch mark. The 4.5-inch mark. And cut that again. Oops, I missed one. I missed 7.5. So I'm going to have to put that back in, sorry. And going to go to the 7.5-inch mark. No worries. So that was the first one, 7.5. Then the next one was the 4.5. Okay, now put your 6-inch back at the top. Slide to the right again to your 2-inch mark. And cut that. So you see we are reassembling what we are cutting. Put your finger back up at that 6-inch mark. Slide, slide, slide to the right, back to the 2-inch mark. And let's cut that. And now let's assemble on our mat. Okay, so you see how it's really easy when it is assembled on your mat to get your pieces now to sort your pieces. Okay, and I found that it's easy to start at the bottom right, and I'm going to flip it every other piece. So the piece at the bottom right, I'm just going to lift it up, and I'm going to use my designer paper, and I'm going to take this piece and just turn it around, and that's going to go here up at the top. So one is designer, one is tonal. Then I go to my next piece. That one's going to be tonal. So the piece underneath it is designer, and that gets turned around and that goes here up at the top. Go to your next piece. That one becomes a designer. And then this piece just turns and goes up to the top. This next piece now is tonal. And this piece turns and goes up to the top. This next piece is designer. And this other piece just turns and goes to the top right. This next piece is tonal. And your other piece now just turns and goes up to the middle section there. And then we do this last piece and we have tonal, and then your other piece turns and it becomes that beautiful pattern. So this is a very fast and easy one to do. And you can use many, many different ways to do this. Now this page in effect is complete. And I'm just going to now put these onto a base page. And if you want, you could add a border. Oh, maybe you want to add a border to the middle or so, like this, with some mats around it. The other thing that you can do with this is to have it, and I'm just going to slide some of this over to this side. You could separate this and make these into two separate pages. Okay, two separate pages, just by doing one border up at the top or one border down at the bottom. Or by flipping your, just turning, you can do those two borders on each side. You could also put them in the middle and have it look like that. So it is a very, really fun page to do. Now here's the other thing that you can do with this, and that's flipping it all to designer and then just putting a solid cardstock underneath so that you're really maximizing the full designer paper. And that would look like this. See, then I would be taking these out and then just putting the designer papers all on one. And then using the other, see, that would look like that. Or I could, and then I would flip these over to designer and use that as well as a designer paper. Okay, but what I'm going to do now is just put it together into one page because I just love the way this looks. And this is a really great way to break up a very busy pattern. And one that you can use over and over and will look different each time you do it. So I'm just going to use my repositionable tape because I'm able to get all the corners of the points here. And I'm going to use my repositionable tape on all the corners. Let me just move my mat down and I can do this a little faster for you. So it's easier to start at one edge and then just work your way around. And sometimes you will have an issue with the cardstock that you're putting it on, because sometimes cardstocks are just a little bit bigger. They could be about 1/8 of an inch, 1/16 to 1/18 of an inch. Just a little bit bigger. So sometimes you may have a little bit of excess on one side. Just go ahead and cut that off. I like to use my repositionable tape because then that way I can get all the way up to these points. Don't worry if your points all don't come together. You could either cover it with a mat, or in this one, I'm going to use an actual border punch and make a design right there in the, put a design right there in the middle. You see how fast this comes together. And it's such a pretty way to stretch your paper, especially ones that you have an overall very busy pattern with. And this, we have quite a few papers that have some nice contrast in the back. This particular one is Golden Harvest, the one I'm working with tonight. Some of my examples were the This Life collection. I also used the new Travel Passport collection on a couple pages, the Do-It-Yourself, the Riveting Home Improvement collection. I used on another one. So these, they really do come together very, very fast. And as I showed you, you can do a 1-page, a 2-page, double-page spread, matching. And there we go, another one. So once you have your markings on here, it's very easy to duplicate. And just a couple more pieces. And as I said, don't worry about this middle piece if you can't get that totally together. Because sometimes it is the cardstock. So, but I'm going to show you a trick on that, and you can use a border punch or border cartridge. Now, if you see any of your pencil marks on here from our marks, not a problem. Just take your good eraser and just erase them off. I have a couple of the pencil marks showing, so I'm just going to erase those off. And that is done. So how fast is that? A really fast and easy page, a Sunburst page. And in this one, I'm going to, this particular one, so you could either put a little circle in the middle, like I did with this one, with a title in the middle. This leaf one, I'm actually going to use the leaf autumn leaves punch and put a row of autumn leaves right in the middle. I just like the way that looks. And I'm still going to probably do a title there. There we go. Might put a nice little title there in the middle, and then some and I'm just taking a mat, one of the bigger mats, and going to just cut that in half. So you can do some 4x6s, 4x4s. You can do circles on here. You can use these for journaling. These can also go this way. They're really, it's a very, very flexible. So you're actually making your page, your paper become like your display here. Okay, and then I would put the a title possibly in the middle. And there you have it. So this is our technique. It is a fast sunburst. I've done it in 4 different palettes. Tell me which one you like the most. This is Autumn. Look how pretty that looks. Really a very pretty one. This one is from This Life. And that's with it on 1 page. And then these 2, this one is the Riveting Home Collection, and this is spread across 2 pages. And then this one is the Passport Travel. And you may not see it as much because I did put some mats on this one already. And that's spread across 2 pages. So I hope you like the Sunburst technique. Please comment on my YouTube channel. I have a lot of other videos on my YouTube channel. It's Bev DeBono Designs. And please follow me, subscribe. You'll get a notification every time I post. I usually post an idea every week. And I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.